So the first game we're going to look at, the game that's on the screen now, this is an example of games you don't see a lot. And so the gawking rabble, which is you think when good players make brilliant sacrifices that they win, and you try to emulate that, and then you give all your pieces away and you resign. And there's two reasons for that. One is when a good player sacrifices, they've done a lot of calculation and they've concluded it's good for them. You guys just sacrifice because you think it's fun. And the other is when sacrifices work at the top level, those games are well known because they're interesting, and they're not very likely to happen. And the reason is when two strong players are playing each other, if you have a winning sacrifice, usually your opponent won't let you do it. They see it coming like you see it coming. So before it happens, they do something about it. So we have an unusual situation here where black plays brilliantly sacrificing, but it doesn't work. So it wasn't as brilliant as he thought. And actually, there were some mistakes after the sacrifice from both players. Frankly, terrible. Now, this is, they're playing, 10-minute and 25-minute. So let's give them a break. They're not playing slow chess. And so forth. That's right, moves like Jagger. That's correct. Yay, Dominic gave 10 subs. See, the thing is, Dominic moved from Germany to Scotland. If he didn't, that would cost me a lot of subs. If he was still in Germany, he would obviously give 9 subs, but he gives 10 because he's in Scotland. Storm subscribed. Hooray. Tyson won. Go Tyson. And then Dominic gave 10 subs. Hooray. Oh, thank you, Dominic. Dominic's been fighting on Twitter with the gawking rabble. They don't realize that he's German, I guess. Basically, what happens is when people do things that he finds ridiculous, he says, frankly, ridiculous, which is what I would say. And most people are more tactful because they're not German, and they say, like, I don't necessarily agree with your assessment. And that's not what Dominic does. Dominic's like, look, bitch, what you wrote was wrong. And then people get mad because, they don't want to be wrong. Too bad. So Dominic is pretty sure about his, ideas about things. And then he backs it up by winning every poker tournament. I mean, this is in poker, not in chess. In chess, Dominic don't say shit. Right. But in poker, right, people don't want to be told they're wrong. And, if you're going to give poker lessons or advice and the advice is bad, Dominic's going to call you out. And they're not mad at Dominic because they think Dominic is wrong. They're mad at the way he presents the way that he thinks you're wrong. They want to be coddled, and told like, well, maybe, but probably not. I don't know. And, Dominic's like, come on, ridiculous. So, for example, if black played rook c1, okay, then some people like Yasser would say, well, rook c1 is not the best move because it gives away the rook to either the queen or the rook on d1. It could capture the rook for free. So I probably wouldn't play rook c1 for those reasons. But the idea of putting the rook on the back rank is an excellent idea. It just doesn't happen to work in this position. That would be like Yasser if he was giving a chess lesson to a beginner, and Dominic would say, what the fuck are you doing? You have brain damage? Right. So that it depends on your, what kind of, what kind of lesson you want. Yeah. So that, Dominic doesn't like when people are stupid and tells them that. And they're like, don't tell me I'm stupid. One time as a birthday present, this isn't the kind of birthday present you guys would like. Wes, about 20 years, 30 years ago, probably 30 years ago, His birthday present to me was a bridge game with a very good player. So he paid the guy, and the guy played with me, and in a club game. I told the guy, I knew him already, but I said, if I do something dumb, like tell me it's dumb and tell me why and so forth. Don't just be like, well, that they paid for me to play with them, so I'll be nice. I said, don't be nice. Just tell me what I'm doing wrong. So normally, what I do when I was teaching is the weaker you are, the nicer I am. And the stronger you are, the meaner I am. So if I'm looking at chess with, some grandmaster who's better than me, and they make an idiotic move, I'm going to be like, what are you doing? You're 2650 FIDE. Why you play so stupid? But if it's, you guys, I'm like, well, you made a legal move. That's better than you usually do. And I guess if your opponent plays the worst legal move, your move would be good. So yeah, good move. That's right. Ambitious and misunderstood. Man, there's a guy who knows his Futurama. I won't even correct the spelling. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. D-Bart D. No one who speaks German can be bad. Right. Parole granted. One of my favorite scenes in The Simpsons, easily top 5, easy, is when Sideshow Bob wins the mayoral race and they go live to him giving his acceptance speech as the mayor, and he just laughs maniacally. And they have this lighting in the background is really funny. That's one of my favorite scenes. And then the newscaster says, wow, he sure is happy. And so forth. Yeah, if I tell you like, yeah, that was pretty good, then it wasn't good. Yeah. Etc. Okay, so let's have a look. 300 centidues, let's look at that. Thanks, debugger. Okay, so in this position, come on. No, I can't get anything to work. All right. Black played knight f3 check. This position's about equal. I think the engine slightly prefers white, but it's basically equal. Knight f3 check, and if knight f3 check works, then he's a genius. And in fact, if it doesn't work, it might work anyway. Sort of like poker. The guy went all in, and maybe white's going to fold. Or maybe black has the best hand. So he's got 2 ways to win. Now in poker, this is a better idea than in chess. Because in chess, they can't fold. So when you go all in chess, you should be right. The equivalent, the analogous situation is that in poker, if your opponent makes a big bet or goes all in, there's a chance that they'll fold, the folding equity. And then that's one of the reasons you would do a play like that if it was correct. In chess, one reason to do something like that, knight f3 check, is maybe it's the best move. And if it's not the best move and it doesn't work, maybe your opponent won't know why. And you'll win anyway. So you got 2 ways to win. The only way to not win is it's not good and your opponent plays perfectly. And so, practically speaking, knight f3 is fine. And what's funny is, even though this was a rapid game, white defended perfectly. Well, except for one thing. Okay, so he took, and then he played g5, that's the point. The knight can't move because queen h2 mate is coming. Also, the knight can't move. The knight could go to g2, which hangs checkmate in 2 moves, but there's actually no safe square for the knight anyway. And he figured once he wins this knight, he's unleashing the latent potential. He's not even sacrificing anything. So this was amazing because when it was played, I was like, interesting. And the engine's like, terrible. And I was thinking, man, I don't think I would find this in a rapid game. In a slow game, I think I would. But not in a rapid game. I just get crushed. And Cori found the right move. What's funny is you would expect with black playing g takes f4, black is attacking. And you'll notice after gf4, the g file's open, which seems good for black, and white turned it around by playing king h1. This is an amazing move. And the obvious idea is if you take, I have the g file, and after king here, I win your queen. I mean, that's incredible. So if I was a betting man, I would think Mareco didn't see King H1. I know I didn't. Okay, he played the best move, King F8. Now, I had to do a lot of computer analysis in preparation for this stream to understand why the engine move is better than Cori's. Cori made a mistake now. And I'm friends with Cori, so I asked him, thanks for the raid, basing? Is it Basinger? I said, like, why did you make a mistake in this position? And he said he was having trouble thinking, Cori was, because he was trying to think of words that rhymed with Cori. And once he got to like allegory, Montessori, he was like deep in thought. He's like, oh my God, it's my move. So that's a good explanation of why white made a mistake here. Yeah, story. Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's pronounced Schopenhauer. Wow, cool. That is a good pronunciation of. Okay, now I will explain because I did a lot of research to try to understand, and I was furrowing my brow in a vain attempt to understand the situation, but now I'm not. Okay, so Cori had the right idea, but the wrong execution. He played Queen B2. This is a mistake. And strangely, Queen A1 is the winning move with the same idea as Queen B2. Okay, and I'll explain why. I'll explain the difference. If you take the knight, which is the engine's best move, bishop F6, cutting the queen defense of the bishop. So, and the queen is defending the bishop just like it would be a B2, like what he did. And if you play this move, threatening checkmate, I stop the checkmate by taking the bishop. It's not checkmate. And the engine says white's like plus 400 because white's threatening bishop E7 check, winning the queen, and white's a piece up. And once white gets a free move, he's gonna checkmate black and such. Okay. And so in this position, if you take on F3, threatening to take on E2 with discovered check, now we play bishop C4. And the engine says white's winning. And I was like, okay, that's fine. White could be winning. I don't know. And I was like, why isn't white winning if he plays queen B2? White can't just play the same way. And he did play queen B2. And he took on F3, which is a very, very, very bad move. If you take on F4, which is the correct move, and you play bishop F6, which you also could have played after queen A1, which the engine says is winning, now you're not winning anymore because after takes, bishop C4, taking on E3, if the queen was on A1, as in the previous variation, rook takes D6 is winning. And now actually black's winning. So if you take on D6, I play E2, and if your queen was on A1, which it's not, but if it was, I could play bishop E7 check and take the queen. But unfortunately, I'm queening with mate. So now the best move is actually queen A1. That's the only move that doesn't lose. Which obviously, if that's true, you should have played queen A1. And then now it says queen F4 wins. It changed its mind. It said it was a draw. Now it says it's a win. Okay, the problem is you're threatening the rook. If the rook leaves the bishop, we can take the bishop. And after queen takes queen, we promote with mate. But anyway, the idea is just the queen defends the back row. And there's some positions where if the queen's on A1 and the guy plays queen H3 threatening mate, you can play bishop F1. What you can't do with the queen on B2. The queen on A1 you can. So the engine says queen A1 wins and queen B2 does not. And obviously in a rapid game, that's ridiculous. Who's going to... What? But you can see the difference. The queen on A1 protects the back rank so that E1 isn't winning, and after queen here, we can go here because the queen's protecting it. But, I mean, during a rapid game, you can't. Nobody's thinking about that stuff. Now, that's the reason the French grandmaster Etienne Bacrot became a grandmaster at such a young age, and he's been 2,700 for 25 years, because he really understands the Bacrot. So he would play queen a1 for sure, but he's the only one. Okay, so after queen b2, the engine says after g takes f4, black is okay. But he played e takes f3, which is not a good move. Bad move, bad. Not taking the knight. And again, this position is like too complicated to play in such a fast time control. Bishop c4, that is correct. G takes f4. And now he played e4, which wins. A lot of moves win. But the thing is, even though it looks like black is attacking white, these pawns are blocking the bishops. They can't move. So this bishop does nothing. And now after the move e4, that bishop does nothing as far as attacking the king. However, my rook and my queen and bishop and this bishop and rook g1. So actually white's winning here. White's attack is better than black's. And it's just very hard to understand. It's a very complicated position. And knight f3 in the original position I showed you caused massive complications. And unfortunately for black, white played the complications better than him, and now he's winning. So he played king e7. I mean, the engine says white's winning, but I don't know what I would play. But all right. Then bishop g7 attacks the queen. Black threatens checkmate. Rook g1, obviously. And this gives up the f6 square. Truth hurts. f7, etc. I mean, all these pieces are great, and the bishops are shallow and pedantic. The bishops are just blocked by his own pawns. So it's weird because black sacrificed a piece to attack. He won his piece back, but now white's attacking. Yeah, chess is hard. Yeah. And then there was the wrap it up button. Yeah, I mean, every move wins. It doesn't matter now. King c5 is a funny move. Bishop c3 stopping king b4. a5. And then he resigned. Obviously, the black king is ridiculous. But I like the way black's pawns stop his counterplay. He can't threaten mate on h2. He can't threaten on... I mean, if only these pawns weren't here, then black would be winning. Truth hurts. So that was an amazing defense from Cori. And when I say amazing, I mean finding the move king h1. That's really nice. And then he sort of understood that the queen had to go here so he could play here and here. He just went to the wrong square, and black immediately returned the favor by not taking the knight. By taking here, and that actually doesn't help black. It helps white, because white plays here. Hooray! Go white's bishop. This doesn't help because it's blocked. And black was hoping he would take on e3 and eventually unleash the latent potential of the bishop. And that's why Cori played that. That just kills both bishops. It's not an engine move necessarily, but it's a really strong human move because it gets rid of black's counterplay against white's king. And then white took over the attack. Rook g1, bishop g7, queen f6. Black's king ran all over the board. So they had to stop the game at some point because it was too exciting. Zoidberg couldn't handle it. Yay, 1,600 viewers because I'm on Chess TV. Hi, Chess TV. Yeah, it's Pam. Go Pam. Indigo Girls, what? Let's see, Allegory, Montessori. Yeah, Danya was good. I'm not as good. Yeah. You could play Rook d8, then Queen a3, followed by mate. All you should do is donate. You shouldn't analyze chess. It's not your strong suit.